I'm alone, I'm in love. I can barely keep up. I thought I overdid it, but I guess I didn't do it enough.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Viewer Podcast. What a treat, people. What a treat. I am reaching down to Denham, Massachusetts. Denham. And I'm coming in from Dunham, Quebec.
From Dunham to Dedham.
Bingo. I mean, you can't get much better than that, Ryan.
I'm about 500 yards from Dedham. I'm technically in Boston, but Dedham is, I can see it.
Nice. Then we're counting it because it matches up too nicely.
But that's where I grew up. Did you grow up in Dunham?
Yes, I did. I sure did. I mean, I've moved since, but yeah, totally. It's a sleepy little beautiful country town. Love it. I love country life, but I love the city as well. So I like to go back and forth from city to country. Never too long at any one, because then, well, it just gets dull. So Ryan Walsh from Massachusetts is coming in. Hallelujah the Hills, previous of the Stairs, singer-songwriter, author, filmmaker, just a creative individual who's going to come and shed some of that creativity all over us as we wrap up this week of, some would say drudgery, others would say, let's just not talk about it. And onward we move. So Ryan, thanks so much for hopping on here and joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
It's been such a pleasure. I've been listening to your music for a long time, starting with the Stairs and some of your solo stuff too, like some of those singles that you'd put out solo wise, just great. And now Hallelujah the Hills has been around for a long time. Your catalog is tremendous. And we're going to get into this new record that's coming out in June called Deck. But before we start that, Ryan, I'd love to poke your brain a little bit about what were some of your tipping points in your career where things change suddenly. You know, when we have these chance encounters or, you know, something happens that kind of changes our direction a little bit. Can you share any of those with us about your music and like where it kind of like started to be like, hey, this is something I might like to do?
It's interesting. In hindsight, you can always put those moments, you can identify those moments, but in reality, it's just like endless long periods of drudgery where you suck and suck and suck, and then you suck a little less, and then you're getting a little less sucky than that. But I mean, I guess you know, one thing that I've been thinking about a lot is, you know, when we started the Hills, it's what we now think of as like the blog explosion, where there was so much writing about music, and some of these blogs were being weighted as heavily as like Rolling Stone or Pitchfork. You know, you got some write-ups on these music blogs, and as we did, and it led to like 4 label offers. And so I was thinking about how unique that period was and interesting. And so that was definitely a turning point, because to start a new band, and instantly have a little bit of a leg up and people interested was super exciting for us.
Yeah. What was that leg up like? Like, what was it, that interest coming in? What did they offer that was like, holy shit,
money,
wow. Like money and studio time, I imagine, and like time for you to record and.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been about money for production costs or travel costs, really. I mean, you know, it's so difficult to turn any creative endeavor into your living. One thing I think that has led to the longevity of this band is we said, let's not worry about that. and we'll take it seriously. We'll work very hard on it, but let's put most of what we earn into making more cool stuff. So that's kind of always been our policy. And so, you know, I remember getting that check from Ms. Records and turning around and buying a tour van. Because I think Corey
Right.
Brown literally said, "What do you need to be more of a real band?" And I said a tour van, and so
Well,
that was a good moment.
that's cool. And what was it that what was it that sparked that initial connection with the label? Like, because it's hard to get. I mean, I imagine nowadays even more so, but
I think
I
so.
mean, even back then it wasn't not every band was getting offered a label contract. Like, how did that come to be? That connection, that collaboration you had?
I don't, it's kind of a mystery to me. You start
Mm,
putting stuff out and you call yourself a name and uh and then you get some write-ups, and if enough of that happens, people, it's either people reacting purely to the music, which I think is pretty rare,
mm,
or it's a combination of reacting to the music and perceiving there's some kind of excitement around your band or your songs or whatever.
right,
So
right.
in that moment, um I don't know. People were interested,
Mm.
and it's a better question for the people who offered us a record deal, I think.
Right? I guess you can't read their minds. Um, but your sense of it, so
Yeah.
the stairs kind of ended, and
Yep.
then did the hill start up right away, or was there a transition period where you were putting out your own stuff, I think, under your name? Or was it right
Uh,
into the hills?
it was pretty right into the hills. I remember we played
Okay.
the last Stairs show in New York in like July, and on the drive home, me and the drummer, who were the ones staying, said, "How can we let's figure this out?
Hmm.
What's the next band?" And by August, we were rehearsing.
Okay.
So the releases under my name or other names were scattered in there and weren't related to that small gap. But
Okay.
the Stairs toiled in complete obscurity until like the last 6 months, and then
Right.
people took notice of us, and that was fun, and that got Eric and I thinking like, let's try to build on this momentum and just
Right.
reform with a different name as soon as we can. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And did you guys want to have a different personality than the stairs? I mean, I imagine when you're starting up something new, you want it to feel new.
yeah.
Were in your songwriting, did things change in your mindset of how you were going to approach Hallelujah the Hills?
I think so. I mean, I think I'm always changing, as like most humans are,
Right.
especially if you're interested in changing or like growing. And but also it was suddenly going to be I was the primary songwriter, which I had never had that
Mm,
position. So um, I just felt I had control of the narrative in a way. Like
right.
the thing with the Stairs, Evan Sikaranza and I, kind of 50-50, with Rob and Leor popping in with one or two here and there. And
Okay.
then just a different lineup, and uh yeah, I wanted it to be different, and it just naturally was. It was different people, and
Right.
and I had
Right.
a little more confidence, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was your initial approach to songwriting with the Hills? Like, how did your process change much from how you were writing songs prior to that, or did it morph a little bit, or did you want to approach it in a different way? Like your process of putting songs together, was there a lot of shifting that went on in between that transition?
I don't think so, because I remember there was one batch of demos that could have been Stair songs, but then ended up as Hill songs. So
Okay.
as far as like how I wrote, I think that stayed pretty similar. But
Hmm.
as soon as we started rehearsing, I thought, oh, let me, I'm thinking like, oh, there's trumpet and cello now. Maybe we write thinking of that in mind. But I can't remember if I made this up after the fact or if it was real. But the original lineup of the band was every instrument on Strawberry Fields Forever, which is one of my
Hmm.
favorite songs of all time. But you got the cello, the trumpet,
Right.
the synthesizer,
Right.
um, I
Nice
think that was
orchestration.
just I think that was a hook I made up after the fact, though. It was just who are the nice people we know in Boston who play instruments who would be cool to be in a band with.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And was that too like the idea that you wanted a variety of instrumentation involved? Like it wasn't going to be just, your standard guitar, bass, drum, vocal. Like you wanted more stuff in there?
Yeah, I thought that would be A, be an interesting thing to try, and B, um, would instantly set it apart for better
Right.
or worse. And there were sometimes I wonder, you know, what would it have been like if I did a power trio or something? But
Mm.
you know, who knows? I'm glad we did it this way.
Yeah,
And
totally.
but a funny thing is that we'll get to it in a bit, but on deck features almost all of the Stairs as guests, and
Mm.
all of the primary singers in the Stairs sing their own song on deck. So in a beautiful way, it was kind of full circle
That's
and
amazing.
working with all those old friends again, and it was a very nice thing.
That's cool. So I imagine that your collaboration, I mean, always was a part of how you wanted to go about creating songs and making records, is that having people come in and the participation, kind of this open idea where you would want lots of different thoughts and ideas in. I guess I'm trying to get at is, when you brought a song in, did you have an idea of what you wanted the sound to be? Or were you very,
Mm.
here's what I have, what do you guys think? Try stuff out. Like, how was your approach when you were bringing these songs to um, your collaborators?
Oh, it's always the latter. It's always I'm more interested in what they are going to think to bring to it, because it's always surprising to me, and it's like the arranging that we all do together is like another layer of writing.
Mm,
I think of it, and it's
yeah.
songs I think are going to be slow end up real fast, and
Mm,
fast songs end up slow or sparser or denser. Um, that's that's one of my favorite parts, is bringing in new songs to see
mm,
what the rest of the band will do with it, because so much happens right then. And there are times when it's a slog and it's like, yeah, we're trying this, we're trying that. But there's when it's working for everybody and everyone really latches onto the song right away, those like 30 minutes, initial 30 minutes are magic.
mm. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. Where you're like, oh my God, I like that. Oh, that's good. Do that a bit. Like, pull
It's
that out a bit more.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I try to be very open-minded and democratic. I'm the opposite of Brian Wilson.
Right.
If you think of what, I always admire that, but I couldn't do it, and B, it's more interesting the other way.
Yeah.
But then again, well, we'll get into it later. But that changed a little bit on deck, I guess.
Right. Right. And like, how do you know when a song is there? Like, when it's ready to come into the shared space and for you to show it or let others listen to it and have their input. What's the feeling you have, or that you get, that this is something that I will push forward, rather than, tossing it aside and saying I'll just shelve that for a later date? What's the feel that you get from your songs when you know you're onto something?
I think it's when I want to listen to the demo over and over, that's a great sign.
Hmm.
And when I feel good about it, if I feel, well, I used to wonder if I feel embarrassed about this song, that means it's bad. But then I threw that idea out. I said, that's probably wrong. That might be the better songs, because I feel like I'm exposing something or risking something.
Right.
Um, so it's just a song by song basis,
Hmm.
and I can tell if the band likes it pretty quickly.
Right.
They're so polite, and and they will try things for a while. Um, but I know everyone, I think, can tell pretty quickly whether
Right.
it's going to work or not.
Like, it comes together pretty quickly. Like, the
Yeah, or
ideas,
people are
there's a
having
plethora of
ideas.
ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. That's wicked. So, do you ever get into a state where you're like, I don't know what to write anymore? Like, I just think about the mass amounts that you've written. Um,
Yeah.
and your book, throw that in there too. Astral Weeks, a secret history of 1968. I mean, you're prolific in your writing of songs and of literary. Like, what happens when you kind of hit that wall of like, I'm done, I'm empty, I got nothing left? Like, do you ever get to that state where it's like a struggle for you to sit down and try to write a song? And if that's the case, what do you do to kind of contour that, to deal with it?
There are times when I was told like you have to make room for inspiration, and so like I try to sit down even if I don't feel like it. But sometimes there's stuff where nothing comes or nothing interesting comes, but I never think of that as a failure. I don't know. I've never, one of my heroes is Bob Pollard. So I was raised up believing that, I think, what does he say? Writer's block was for pussies or something. Something like that. I would put it a little nicer, but I don't know. I've come to learn that maybe one of my big assets in life is that I'm endlessly curious, and I really want to know how people work and how institutions work and how things work and cultures and scenes. And so if you keep your curiosity cooking, I do think there's no bottom of the well of what you can write about. So, and then with this project, especially, setting out to write 52 songs, I thought if I brought one in a week, I couldn't lose, that would keep me on pace. And then once I told myself and the world that we were doing this, suddenly the floodgates just opened more than usual. And at the end, I almost couldn't stop it. I was right. We cut songs.
Wow. Yeah, because it was like you put out I'm You in 2019.
Yes.
And we're here 2025 now. Like, how long has Dex been kind of in the works? How long have you been dabbling around in it to it coming out in June?
Well, the weird thing is I think I've had this idea for 20 years. I think during the stairs, I would, probably after a few beers, and there should be like a deck of cards. I had the vague idea. And every couple of years I would blather about it. But, after COVID, they talked about something called revenge spending. Did you hear that term? Revenge spending, where people were like going on vacations because they lost all this time.
Oh, okay. Right.
Okay. And I feel like Deck is our expression of revenge creativity, where it's like we did, because I'm You was so well received and the tour was just starting in March of 2020.
Right.
And all these good things were happening and we were sidelined. And then I was sad, but so was the world. And so, we were all sidelined. But something about just when we came out of it, I said, well, why don't I put my money where my mouth is, and that idea I've been talking about for 20 years, let's actually do it. And I thought maybe the band would say, yeah, maybe not. And they were like, yes. So then I had no more excuses. And then we were off to the races. So that's how it went down.
The concept album, I love the idea that it's a deck of cards and each of the records represents one of the icons of a deck of cards. It's clubs, diamonds, spades, etc. Are the records themed? Like,
yes,
is it a theme for? And can you expand on that a bit? Like, what's the difference between the four records the four songs, not four songs, but four themes, I guess, that embody the 52 songs?
Well, there's the four suits of the deck of cards.
Yep.
And they each have their own sort of signature sound and themes on those records. But also we built it so that it could also be shuffled because we want people to pull random 13 songs, make that playlist, and that's kind of theirs. Cool. Statistically speaking, you're the only person to ever pull that order ever. So we thought that was pretty appealing. But, Diamonds is sort of like, what we thought was like the most polished follow-up to I'm You, like the real Diamonds. I mean, it's going to get pretty cheesy here in a second. See what I'm doing. And so that was sort of like the marquee songs we felt we had that would have been just the follow-up to I'm You if we just did that. But then clubs became this kind of thing where it was like the faster, punkier, anthemic bangers.
Yep. And
the kind of songs we would play in clubs. Okay. Tell me when you've got it. and we actually, the studio was a club that we recorded basics for that. And then Hearts is sparser and more emotional, bare,
Mm,
heart on the sleeve kind of thing.
mm,
And some of those are really sparse. Hearts wouldn't exist if we were just making one record. That's what
right.
was interesting to me about this process. It forced us to
Yeah.
make these things we never would have made.
Right.
And then
And having
Spades,
those themes in your head, like sticking
right?
true to the
Yeah,
suit.
exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're writing. That might be end up in Spades, and then Spades, the final one is sort of Spades is a shovel, and so we're digging, and it's kind of experiments and the weirder ones, and also sort of like tying up a lot of loose ends that we've introduced through the other ones into
Mm,
hopefully some kind of satisfying conclusion.
interesting. And you throw a couple of jokers in there as well.
There are
Two
two jokers.
jokers.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I imagine those are singles of
Well, I mean,
sorts.
it's an EP of two songs,
Okay. We'll
and
find out soon enough, actually.
we will. Yeah, we'll all find out soon enough. True.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And what is your feel now, kind of looking back over these 52 songs? Like, I'm sure you've just been inundated with listening to them over and over, and the minutia that happens when you're
Yeah.
putting a record out. How do you kind of like, if you kind of pull back a little bit, how do you feel about this creative process that you've gone through in this new record that you're about to share with the world?
Oh, I feel a lot of big emotions and complex,
Mm,
but just really kind of grateful and psyched. I mean, psyched that we did it. Grateful
mm,
that just all these incredible people are in my life that we all work together to make this thing.
mm,
Um, Diamonds was the first one finished. I've never sat on a record this long. That was
mm.
finished a couple years ago. This
Wow.
whole process was about 2.5 years ago. I've never
Right.
sat on a finished record, and not release it for this long. So that's a wild feeling.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
the time I'm improving masters for Spades, Diamond sounded like old news to me, but no one's even heard it at all. So that was a strange feeling.
Yeah. Yep.
It'll come to
Well,
me
I
in
mean,
time.
it just the idea too that having these records ready to go and like wanting to, I imagine you want to, like when you put all that effort and energy in the journey and
Yeah.
like you want it out there in the ether so that people, you know, react to
I
it and listen to it.
totally.
And it,
It's hard to get anyone to blink an eye at you about anything you make in the current culture.
right.
And so, one aspect of this was, well, people will have to I assume people might slow down because this is so crazy that someone would do this, or so audacious, or whatever you want to say.
Sure.
There was that, and then there's also the thing where I wanted to approximate or prove, like back in the '70s in the label system,
Mm,
you would make two records that sold nothing. And then
mm,
the label would be like, well, do you want the Philharmonic string section on your next record? Like you would get a bigger budget. Like there was artist development and there was money to make these big, ambitious things.
mm,
And my question was could I approximate that ambition and that grandness just by, with the small little cult band we are, but
right.
just giving it this obsessive attention and the hardcore fans helping us pay for it all with the Patreon, and
Right.
just I was just trying to figure out could it be done, and I think we did it.
It's here. I see it on Bandcamp. That's for sure. I mean, it's. I love the design of it too. Like, do you do most of your album work, Ryan? Is that I
I do.
really love
I
the
love to.
aesthetic of your
I love
record.
design and
Yeah.
collage. The last one, 2019's "I'm You," is a very old painting, so that
Mm,
one, no. But
okay.
the other ones, yes. And not only did I do the cover art, I designed 52 cards because each song has a card that ties to the actual song. I'm going to share
Right.
something with you.
Wow, that's so cool. I love that.
So so
And
you know
52 covers of your own making of they all seem different too, like similar
little
aesthetic, but
collages or drawings or artwork.
amazing,
And
amazing.
so one of the formats you can buy an actual deck of cards that are those cards.
Amazing. Cool. And I know that you collaborated a lot. And one of the collaborations, Cassie Berman was popped out at me, and great song, Fake Flowers at Sunset. How did that collaboration begin between you and Cassie, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. Well, co-founding member Joe Merritt, bass player, briefly other instruments, but mostly bass. His sister is Cassie.
Okay.
And when Joe and I first met, I didn't know that. And I had weirdly already started this kind of pen pal friendship with David Berman. And so when we all learned that, everyone went, what? Oh, wow. Anyways, they're Cassie's just the best. And we toured with the Silver Jews back in the '00s. Yeah. And on our second album, Colonial Drones, she sang a duet with me. It's called Classic Tapes. And so
this is the first collaboration that you've done. You've worked together before.
She sang on one other song of ours a long time ago. Cool. But she sings on two here on Diamonds. Both of them are on Diamonds. And I just love her voice.
Yeah. What a chance connection too. Like, wow. Like,
I know.
Plus with the Stairs, I don't, for listeners out there, Ryan and the Stairs put out the Unnatural Bridge, which was the cover of Natural Bridge from start to finish, which is such a great, I don't know how many times I've listened to that record, but
really,
oh God, I love it. Like,
wow.
That was one of my favorite Silver Jews record, that their second real full record, studio record. Just, I think I burnt that CD out just from overplaying. And then yours opened up all these new doors, which I just, so good.
In hindsight, I think I probably made it to impress David where he would be friends with me. And it worked.
It worked. What a great idea, though.
I handed it to him at a poetry reading in Amherst, Massachusetts, and he signed my copy of Actual Air. Jesus Christ, I can't believe it. Because he was astounded anyone would do this,
Right. What an endeavor. And that was kind of your last, with the Stairs, your last full release that you guys put out, or were there others that came out after that?
That was definitely before. Yeah, the final thing is on Sleep Lab, which is the kind of the second full length album that came out in 2005.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, so Ryan, as we kind of wrap up here, again, thanks so much for this. I've so enjoyed talking with you. Great stories, great storyteller, which I've heard that you are. And obviously, if you're writing so prolifically, you're great at storytelling. What can we look forward to in 2025? So the record comes out in June, and do you hit the road after the record hits the ground, or what can we look forward to in 2025 from Hallelujah the Hills?
Well, as much live shows as we can do. The week after it comes out, we're in Providence, Rhode Island, and of course Boston, Mass for the hometown release show, and then we'll do New York, Philly, Baltimore in July, and we'll just kind of keep getting out when we can to cities nearby that are drivable. We'd love to go wider, but we'll see. Some of it depends on all these variables you can't predict at this point. But in November, it'll be 20 years of this band. And so, which is astounding. Cool. And we'll certainly play a show to commemorate that. And, just hopefully I'd love to make a bunch of videos for all these songs and talk to people about it and have fun with it. It's meant to be a thing you play with or get your hands messy with. And we tried to make something that's just like not disposable or not, this world is so crazy. You work on something for 2 years, it gets attention for 48 hours a week, and then just everyone's on to the next thing. And that is likely what will happen here. I get it. But we made it in defiance of that idea being the definite outcome. So, I was so honored and touched about how people reacted to I'm You and still do. They say, the most touching crazy stuff about it, and it just means the world to me and the band, and it just gave us all this confidence to go bigger. And here we are.
It's amazing. I love too what you said about that, getting the listener involved in the process to an extent, because they can create. I love that idea of creating your own playlist. Like, wow, I love that.
Everyone, all musicians complain about streaming, including me, because there's so much to complain about. A lot of it's garbage. But I was trying to think, what is the benefit? What is the good thing that I could not complain about? And it is the easy, endless playlist capabilities. Yeah. So the fact, leveraging that to say, make every day you could make a different version of deck, pull 13 cards, make that playlist. And so, trying to turn these negatives into working to your advantage just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing we strive for.
I love it. Well, I wish you all the best with deck. I mean, so far with the 4 songs that are out that we're able to listen to, it's just, I can't wait. The 3 that you have that are on, let me get it right. On Diamonds. Wow.
Yes.
Like those 3 singles are so good. And I like the banger too on it's
Crush
not
All Night,
Diamonds on clubs. I mean, what a banging song that is. It's so fun.
Chris, do you know who else is on clubs? I got to bring it back to Canada here. Jeremy Gadet from Kiwi Jr. sings lead on a song called I'm Your Palindrome on clubs.
Cool. Well, I love Kiwi Jr. They're great.
Yes.
So good. Awesome. Well, I hope that you come find your way back up here north. I mean, we're just a spit across the border from you ish. Well, a big spit, but a spit.
If we're not at war.
Right. And we'll let you go back to the States too. We won't try to send you to a gulag or anything like that.
Oh my God. I just got to know, we're joking truly so we don't cry, because
it's just unbelievable sometimes what's going on right now.
Disgusting.
But your music is a great cure and remedy for all this chaos, because it does bring such joy. So thank you for putting these records out, your music out, your books, your films. Just such a creative person. I'm in awe of you, really, Ryan. I appreciate so much you taking time and sharing some of your stories and your journey with us today.
Chris, truly, thanks a million. That was very, very kind. Thank you.
Real pleasure. Thank you.
Like a human being does. I love you beyond repair. I love you inside out and falling. So doubters, please beware. I wonder where all of the time goes. We're looking, it's not there. We waste our time keeping track of time. We know that time don't care. We know that time don't care. Fake flowers at sunset, 'cause earthquakes don't apologize. And rivers never tell no lies. The wind, it never stops and cries. But I do. sunset, 'cause earthquakes don't apologize, and rivers never tell no